Nehemiah that God actually shows up, aside from giving favor to Nehemiah to at least start this one thing. But this is the first time that Nehemiah is able to step back and realize we did this in 52 days and God was on our side. Oftentimes, when we're focused on the one thing, and the one thing's never an easy thing. If it was an easy thing, there'd probably be many things. But the one thing's never easy. And oftentimes, and most of the time, we're never going to actually get any confirmation that it's something that's of God, that's something that's God is with us through until after we're finished with it. And the interesting thing about the one thing is when we bring it back to our own lives, when we bring it back to our one thing, is it possible, some of our one things might be a little bit shorter than 52 days. 52 days from now is actually, like 52 days from tomorrow is March 28th. What would happen if your one thing, the stake was already driven in the ground by March 28th? Instead of a New Year's resolution that would try to span the entire year, what would happen if it was the first quarter of the New Year's resolution? If that makes any sense. That kind of sounds weird, but what if it was a goal that you had that you hit the ground running, one focus, one thing, nothing's going to distract you? Would it be possible? Do you imagine what life would be like? Could you imagine what life would be like if that one thing was changed, that broken relationship mended, that credit card bill gone, that business started, that job that seemed elusive before you have now been at and are earning a living? And what would life be like? And this would be a perfect point in time to end the sermon, to say, hey, we all know what our one thing is, and now go out and do it. Now go out with this focused intensity as Nehemiah and focus on the one thing. Don't let anything distract you, not Facebook, not Twitter, not anything, because I know that might be a distraction for some of you. Social media, great and horrible all at the same time. But I'm not going to do that this morning because discouragement comes easy, because oftentimes, as we know from statistics, from research, that the one thing is a little bit harder to do than just rah cheer everybody up, because as we can tell, Nehemiah, halfway through building the wall, everybody kind of the enthusiasm had worn off, because the enthusiasm doesn't last. You can hear a great sermon, but actually applying it is a completely different story. And that's why, beginning in a couple weeks, I would love to say that it's beginning tomorrow, but it's beginning in a couple weeks. We're going to be starting up some groups of people focused on one thing, because sometimes, and actually statistics have shown that there's two things that people can do to make sure that they follow through on their goals, and whether their goal is a New Year's resolution or just a goal that they set at any point in time in their life. One of those things is by sharing that one thing with a group of people to get accountability. Telling a friend, telling somebody who's not going to mock you, but telling somebody and sharing it with somebody helps build accountability. And the other thing is actually getting a group of people together who are all focused on the same one thing. And that's what we're planning on trying to put together this spring. It's going to go on for a little bit longer than just ending on March 28th, because sometimes we need a little bit more encouragement. Some one things actually take a little bit longer than 52 days. But if some of your one things, like perhaps you might be here, this might be your first week here, this first time visiting here, perhaps you're new to Christianity, new to the idea of Christianity, and maybe your one thing is, you kind of just want to know a little bit more about who Jesus is. Like, what are all these people doing here? Like, why are we here? What's so special about Jesus? And we have a group of people who are planning on meeting and watching through the Matthew video. And I don't know if you've ever seen the Matthew video, but it basically walks through the Gospel of Matthew in visual, like basically is a movie, very accurate to the text, and it's very powerful. It's very powerful, and it gives you an amazing glimpse into Jesus' life. And so, growing closer to Jesus is your one thing, then perhaps you might want to band with some people on that one thing. Perhaps, though, you might know Jesus, you may have fallen in love with Jesus, and that's not it, but perhaps you've just been coming to the experience for a while, or maybe you grew up Adventist, but you don't really know what all we believe. Like perhaps you've kind of taken it for granted, like I know we believe in Jesus and we know He died for our sins, but there's a bunch of other things that I'm not really kind of sure, do they match the Scriptures, what's all going on with that, and perhaps just understanding kind of Adventism and what we believe might be your one thing, because knowing what you believe is helping you get a solid footing to keep from being tempted and deceived away. And Ed and Cindy are going to be having a group of people focusing on learning what it is that we believe and what's the scriptural foundation for what we believe. And so that's your one thing, then I would greatly encourage you to join with them on that. Perhaps strengthening your marriage or strengthening your family is a one thing. And in today's culture, there's a lot of different things. There's a lot of things that are, there's a lot of ways that culture and the devil has been attacking families and been attacking marriages and trying to pacify us. But there's a group of people who are getting together who want to learn how to be courageous based on the movie Courageous, want to learn how to be men and women that stand up for what we believe and are not afraid, not wimps, not any of those. You want to stand solid, stand firm, and perhaps the Honor Begins at Home group would be a great group for you. Some of you, your one thing may be the financial thing, maybe it be paying off debt, building up an emergency fund. This is going to be the year that you're going to, quote unquote, Dave Ramsey, change my family tree so that from 2013 forward, life's not going to be the same because we now have a plan with our finances instead of living from paycheck to paycheck. And I can tell you personally that Dave Ramsey has a plan that works. And if you've not gone to Financial Peace University, it's definitely worth the investment. Sometimes, well, maybe another one thing that you have is a career-based one thing. Maybe you're sick and tired of your job, you're sick and tired of how they treat you, and you want a new job, or you want to start your own thing. Maybe it's a career-based one, and we actually do have a